Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well today, especially in this new moon in Cancer 7/7 portal energy that we find ourselves in now. I am here to do a reading based upon some downloads I received again about a week ago. I mentioned them in the last video that I would come back here and do this video for you guys today. So I have some notes, minimal notes, and then we'll get into the cards a little bit. But before I do that, I want to take the moment to welcome you. Thank you for being here. Welcome if you're visiting for the first time. Welcome if you are a subscriber or a returning viewer. I'm very happy to have you here for as long as you're vibing with me. If you don't like me for any reason, please feel free to exit stage right or stage left and find the beings who are not only providing you with the information that helps you to ascend, but you're also a frequential match for. It's very important that we go in places now where we feel at peace, and we're adding to other people's peace intentionally because we're in alignment, right? And that's how we are going to produce more peaceful states on the earth plane. So thank you so much to those of you who showed up and showed out at my event yesterday. We did dive deep into the dark feminine, we really did, and there was a lot of healing that took place in that group, and I'm so grateful for the beings who showed up in attendance to bare their hearts and their souls, and to also assist one another in rising and healing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to make you aware I'm getting on top of things right now. I'm trying my best to do that, not to release this information a few days before. I'm feeling stronger now, especially through this new moon in Cancer, and we just had a storm in the UK, and storms always make me feel so I don't know, like replenished. I love the energy of the storm, possibly because I'm a Mars and Scorpio baby, that could be it. But anyway, I wanted to let you know what upcoming events I have, and all the information for securing your seats to those events will be in the description box below and the comment section. So next Saturday, the 13th of July, I'm going to do a regular group check-in session with a focus on Karmic Family Recovery, because it's really important right now, especially 14:33 on my clock, especially through this new moon in Cancer leading up to this full moon in Capricorn. A lot of those stories are rearing their ugly heads, not to pull you back into them, but to give you full liberation. So many of you, these stories they're picking up in intensity, or they're re-entering into your consciousness, whether it's in your physical reality or in dream state, because it's time to close things out. But please be aware of that, because the way these cycles continue is when we fall into fear and think that we're being dragged into a cycle when we're actually being liberated out of one. The energies for both things are the same. The exit point and the entry point are the same. So the exit point out of the karmic cycle is the same point as the re-entry into another go around with certain people and contracts, and we are exiting at this point. So we're not falling into fear. We are letting go of the old stories, and we are embracing the new. So I will have a group check-in session next Saturday, the 13th, that will be open for you, and the tickets will be available also. Sunday the 14th, I will be hosting my first TAROTSTROLOGY small group. So up until now, I've done bigger TAROTSTROLOGY groups. I wanted it to be more accessible to everyone, but my intuition for this month is to do a TAROTSTROLOGY small group that limits the seats to just 7 to make it more intimate. And the title for this TAROTSTROLOGY small group is The Story of Your Sun and Moon. We're looking at contracts, the wounding that had you bound in the cycles of the matrix, and your resurrection, your rising out of all of it, as depicted through those 2 placements in your own personal birth chart. So if you would like to join me for that immersive session next Sunday, the 14th, where I will use astrology, tarot, numerology, and channeling to give you to help you dive deep into your cosmological identity based upon your astrological chart and your sun and moon placements, then that information will be in the description box below. For those of you who are unfamiliar with my tarot astrology readings, you can find all of my collective Tarot-Astrology Ascension reports over on my other channel, Solara Rises, and I just posted the one for the new moon in Cancer this past Friday, so you can get a feel of how I read a chart. Okay, let's get into what it is I have to share with you today, because I want to also be aware of the time, because I have a commitment this afternoon also, right? But I wanted to come on here because sometimes if I don't come on here and just go ahead and do it in these available time slots, I find myself having to keep on delaying, and we done with the delaying energy, right? We're done with the constantly having to put things off and being put off and having other external forces control our time. So either way, that was a message for someone. Okay, so what I'm going to speak to you about today, what I have notes about, is that the emotional intelligence integrated with mental capacity has always been the highest and most divine form of intellect. I'm going to say this again because I want you to really hone in on the true meaning of what I'm saying, okay? So, emotional intelligence integrated with mental capacity has always been the highest and most divine form of intellect, okay? Emotional intelligence is what gives us discernment. It's what gives us empathy. It's what gives us the ability to see ourselves in everything and to see others in ourselves too, and to therefore not judge and condemn, but to actually connect with the divine value of every being. The higher your emotional intelligence are, the higher your emotional intelligence is, rather, the more you are able to tune into the God nature of everything, the God value, the God purpose of everything, regardless as to whether, the false matrix like to program us into duality, where we were taught something is good and something is evil. Everything is a reflection, for as long as it's an organic living being, it is an extension and a creation of source. So therefore, there's a purpose to it, and there's a beauty to it, and there's a value to it, even if we don't fully get how to wield the power of it or to fully understand its purpose. It has one, and when you are emotionally intelligent, you are able to hone in on that instead of seeing the discrepancies, the prejudices, the things that are wrong with something or someone. You're able to hone into their God code. That's really what it comes down to. That's true emotional intelligence. Beings who move in that ability tend to have they have what is called a higher form of divine intellect. They're wise souls. Oftentimes, they're primordial souls. They're made of the stuff of the original, the original cycle of this earth. And some of you go back even beyond that. From the very beginning, you truly ancient souls. So this divine form of intellect, this ability to have emotional intelligence, matched with integrated mental capacity. Mental capacity is the ability to have an expanded mind that connects you with infinite knowledge and information. This is what the new earth currency validates. I want to go back to speaking a little bit about mental capacity and what that means, and how they attempted to program us out of it. The false matrix took our infinite minds, because as infinite beings, we connect with the infinite energy of the cosmos, including the infinite mind aspect of source, which is reflected back in us. The false matrix was run off of mental magic, right? They were mental magicians, in which case they understood and overstood that in order to program us on the emotional and mental planes, they had to program us, on the emotional and material planes. They had to program us on the mental planes. Okay, or they realized that by programming us on the mental planes, it automatically would cause us to manifest that programming emotionally and materially, especially if we were programmed through repetition and ritual. So you are an infinite being with an infinite mind, and therefore your mental capacity is huge, right? But just because you have access doesn't mean you use the fullness of it, right? So the false matrix was designed to take your infinite mental capacity and to squash it down into a finite program whereby you didn't leave the boundaries in which you were told you were supposed to think. And that was for all of us. Even those of us with the most progressive thinking, we still had our limitations mentally. And I can tell you I know this because if that weren't the case, we'd all be walking on the earth like Yeshua, doing all of these miracles that we're all capable of doing, but we can't do them if we can't overcome the mental barriers that keep us stuck believing that, for one thing, that's the miraculous. It's actually not the miraculous. These are the things that we just naturally do when we're walking in alignment with our infinite truth. But when you've been in the false matrix and you've been programmed into a box of thinking, and you're not allowed outside of the box, and they make sure that they put parameters that ensure that you can't go outside of the box. If you try to go outside of the box, you don't get paid and you don't get fed. You try to go outside of the box, you get castigated from society. You go too far outside of the box, they'll put you in a mental institution. You feel me? There was everything that was done to make you get stuck in mental boxes, and they called it education. So from the time you come out of the womb, you come into family systems that over generations have been taught to rear children in a certain way that begins to put them in these mental boxes, right? And then the great mental box stuffer is school, right? You go to school and you only get rewarded when you regurgitate the information in the way they want you to regurgitate it, and you are able to take their test well. Because your ability to take their tests well shows your programmability. That's all it does. Your ability to squash your infinite mind underneath their program. Okay, so that's what the world of education introduces us to. And even in the world of wider academia, when you get older and you're pursuing your bachelor's, your master's, even your PhD, you're still confined within the boundaries of what you're allowed to research and the areas you're able to go. So is that truly education if you're not able to allow your mind to go as far as it wants to go, to travel in order to come back with a new idea or a new way of seeing and living and doing things? Okay, so beings who were able to break out of that are the great inventors of our time. Right, but those great inventors were still regulated, right? So they were only allowed to invent for as long as they had the funding. So as long as it was increasing one of these big false matrix corporate market shares, you were able to be quote unquote creative and inventive. But still, there were boundaries and limitations on your creativity, which is why they created things like the music industry, where they would trap and bind creative minds and the flow of people's creativity in order to monetize it and direct it the way they wanted to, instead of allowing those beings to connect with the infinite creative force that is divine behind their ability to be creative. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. Emotional intelligence, connecting with the value and the God truth, the Namaste principle, the God code in all things, without judgment, integrated with mental capacity, the ability to entertain big, big ideas beyond what it is you've been programmed to believe is possible, has always been the highest and most divine form of intellect, and it is what the new earth currency validates. So in the old world, you were paid well if you adhered to their programs, their way of thinking, and the systemic indoctrination that allowed you to climb the corporate ladder, climb, into any, of the higher echelons of success in the false matrix. You had to do so by going through certain gates. It was about what you knew in terms of whether you've been to the right institutions that programmed you sufficiently and gave you access to the right groups and all that other shit. It was about that, and it was about who you knew, right? Mostly about who you knew, right? So, and based upon that, you had access to more wealth. You could play around more with money, right? Unless you were the ones at the very, very top controlling the money. They play by their own rules, right? The new earth is coming back into frequential alignment and order, and the 7-7 portal today is really assisting that too, as well as the new moon in Cancer. Through this new moon in Cancer, their ability to fuck with our timelines has been, shrunk all the more. Okay, so every time their ability to no longer mess with our timelines, there's another, there's another point, access point, that is reached that kind of cuts them off. The more those energies will try their best to get back in, to try to get you to open the gate to the old timeline, if that makes sense, which is why I was saying in the beginning, especially because it's Cancer season, Cancer has to do with home, family, ancestry, domestic situations. This energy of the karmic family timelines might feel more intense through this window, not because they're coming back around unless you entertain that thought that they are, but because you are being given the power for it to come back around, for you to close it out. Remember that the same way a cycle begins is the same way it must close out. So when something comes back around, it doesn't mean it's coming back to stay. It means it's coming back to give you a decision point. Like the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. Will you buy the fact that you still need to be tethered to this energy, whether it's spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or materially? Or are you going to find your way all the way out through the same exit point and doorway that can also take you back? It's the same with the Piscean energy. Pisces is another way you see this. Pisces provides that doorway out, but if you don't take it, it will lock you farther into the cycle. Okay? And this is also what we're going through, not even just because of the new moon in Cancer and the sun transiting through Cancer, as well as Venus still being in Cancer. It's also because we do have Neptune and Saturn in that retrograde phase, and both of them in the sign of Pisces, right? So Saturn is bringing a lot of shit that fell out of order in the age of Pisces back into rightful universal order. And Saturn, this retrograde, is bringing the receipts because of where we are in ascension. It's time. We've reached the point. Well, we reached the point of no return a long time ago, but we've reached the point where it's time for the material effects of what we've been intuiting to begin to roll out with more momentum. So up until now, we've been seeing bits and pieces, glimpses of what it is that is happening for us, what we're intuiting, what we're healing. We've been seeing the false matrix crumble in our own personal realities, as well as in the world at large. We've been seeing a little bit, but it's still been to the point where it can be denied, especially by those who don't want to see truth, who are walking in denial and self-deception. It's easy for them to still gaslight themselves and switch the story back around to support the fact that they can still bring back the old world, or they can still sit in the old world and nothing's changed. This is the energy of you ain't going to sit in that seat anymore, or your ass is going to be on fire. And that's just what it is, because we've been seeing bits and pieces of the destruction of these material systems that supported our pain and persecution and enslavement on all planes, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and materially, try to control and command our divinity and life force in their grand energy harvesting complex, right? We've been seeing it happening. We've been seeing the shit shows as they've been unrolling here on the earth planes. And now it's like time, time to grab your popcorn, because the true shit show has arrived. It's imminent. So what the note I have here also is that the rising of the new earth financial system and the material collapse of the old world banking institutions is imminent. So I say banking with the quote unquote with the bunny ears, because the banking I'm speaking about, we think about the bank as a place to go and get money, get a loan. It's what funds, our projects, corporations, etc. Right? But that's what we were seeing in the material. What these banks were really connected to in the etheric realms in order to have their material dominance was a lot more shisty. This is why and how they were energy harvesting us. They were energy harvesting us for material gain. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, because I've spent a lot of my time here on YouTube delving into that, and it's an old story. And if you want to hear more about how they enacted that, then go to any one of my older videos, especially from like this time last year, and like maybe from February up until this point last year. You will hear, no, up until like maybe August of last year this time, you will I will have so many videos where I break down the very many energy harvesting tactics of the false matrix. Okay, so there is a material collapse of these old world banking institutions that is imminent. And we've already seen the shifts coming, and the shifts are very interconnected with our ability to heal and to rise back into the fullness of our power, and to get back that ability to move in our emotional intelligence and our mental capacity, so that we can realign with this divine form of intellect that opens up the new earth financial system. And this new moon in Cancer and today's 7/7 portal is taking us there, or has the ability to take us there in our personal lives a lot, very quickly. And that, of course, will be mimicked in the collective energies too. So in the last video I spoke about how a lot of the things that we're feeling like you couldn't move through them, it's about to open up for you to do, because it's always been your natural propensity and your ability to flow in these energies, because they're part of who you are, and you haven't been able to because of all of the craziness, the energy harvesting, as well as how you were programmed mentally to believe you were something you were not, and therefore began to create a reality from that lower idea of self. But now what is occurring is that as you have done the work of rising higher into your value, you've opened the door to create this new value system, this true value system, I should say, and this is the value system upon which the earth was always founded. Okay, so another note I have here is that the creditors are the indebted ones now. The creditors are the indebted ones now. So in the false matrix, in their energy harvesting complex, in their feeding bank strategies, they constantly had you feeling like you didn't have enough. So you had to go somewhere and borrow something, or you had to go and get an extra job and do something. You had to do this, you had to do that. That's not how it was divinely planned to begin with. Okay? They were stealing from you. We were living in an inversion, right? So everything was back to front. So therefore, the beings who have been made to feel like they're the poorest on this planet oftentimes are the ones with the most cosmological wealth and access, but in order to keep them bound, in order to keep the false matrix going, they had to continually keep them in these lower states. But these beings, a lot of them are you right here, are rising up back into their value and taking back their access. And as you do that, as we do that, as they do that, these fake financial institutions that were supporting a system that fed off of these galactic beings they're now crumbling, and their material demise is imminent. So the creditors, the ones who were giving out money, giving things back to us that were actually always ours to begin with. They now are going back into their rightful place of being indebted, meaning that you don't come and try to give somebody back something that already belongs to them. If you want something from someone and you need to get it from them, you come to them in transparency, humility, and you come and ask. Come and ask to share. The worst thing they can say to you is no, and they're within their rights to do that, right? But this false matrix was all about getting these beings who had lower cosmological ranking based upon their own free will choices not to ascend, had them involved in many games of trickery in order to steal. And them days are over. So I'm mindful of the time because I've got to get going soon. Let me see. Where do we want to go? I'm feeling the tarot. I'm going into the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcanas by Andrea Furtick. The Afro Goddess Tarot Arcanas by Andrea Furtick. It's one of my favoritist tarot decks. I'm going to do my usual 4-card spread. How fitting. Would you look at this? The star. The star, the number 17 card of the major arcana. The star, pouring out the waters back onto the earth planes, pouring out the waters back onto the earth planes. Aquarius is the water bearer, and water is the true currency. It's why the false matrix was founded upon maritime law. What was I going to say about that? And your emotional intelligence, your ability to connect with higher emotional intelligence is very linked to your ability to master the waters, to understand the element of water, how it works within you on all planes, and how it works on the earth planes, and what it truly symbolizes, as opposed to what it is you've been shown. It's so much more than that, right? It's so much more. It's actually how we travel interdimensionally. It's through the waters. Everything is connected and separated by water. Everything. So you travel to another dimension, another timeline, you do so through the waters, which is why you can do so in your dream state, which is why you can close your eyes and you can get to places emotionally, right? Within your own energy. It's through the waters. Your mind can take you there, absolutely, but it's the waters that help you to truly arrive there. In other words, when you're told that in order to manifest something, you should hold on to the idea, but you should then raise up the emotional energy that matches how you want to feel. That's because the emotions birth the manifestation. Everything is birthed by and through the waters. So water has always been the true currency, the true thing of value on the earth planes. They just took money and made it something it wasn't, but they still had to apply it to the laws of water, which is why everything was connected to what they call maritime law, where they fucked with our waters. And now this star energy, there's no more of that. There is the return of the true flow of currency back onto the earth planes. And even this morning when I sat down to do my sunrise salutations on Substack, which is the daily energy report that I do over on my Substack for my patrons over there, I take a picture of the sky every morning, no matter where I am, for as long as I'm sitting under the sun. Some mornings I'm not. I'm like chilling in bed and writing, but most mornings I'm out. And when I am out there, I'll take a picture of the sun. And this morning I took a picture of the sun, and I didn't really gaze at the picture or at the sun before I began to get into the work of what was being channeled. And it was only after, when I was editing the article and took the moment to take a look at the picture and to insert the picture, that I began to realize that the sun was appearing in the sky like a bullseye, or even like the alchemical symbol of gold, which is the glyph for the planet, for the sun as a planet. So if you don't know what that alchemical symbol is, this is it right here. It is the it is a dot in the center of a circle, and it's like an opaque dot in the center of a transparent circle is how you could see it, because that's how it was presenting in the sky. It was like an opaque, the sun was appearing opaque in its intensity and brightness, and it had this like circle around it, almost a halo effect that was more translucent, that made it look either like a bullseye or like the alchemical symbol of gold, or which is also the same as the planetary glyph for the sun. Now that glyph of the sun, or the alchemical symbol of gold, it also shows you the starting point of a new cycle. It shows you it shows you that very point where a new wave is born, a new wave of energy, a new cycle begins through that dot in the middle, because the sun is also, it's the giver of life, right? And then again, with it being the alchemical symbol of gold, and bear in mind that I'm taking this picture on a sun day, which aligns us even more with those solar energies, right? The new era is here. The golden age has arrived. The new moon in Cancer has been giving us the ability to program our own waters back into our golden frequencies and our golden age resonances that allow us to begin to rebirth those realities here on Earth materially. The 7/7 portal is bringing all of that into higher alignment, and the new moon in Leo is kind of heralding the material start of the new golden age on Earth. Okay, so we've already entered the new golden age in the sense that we've been making the transition out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius for decades, really, right? But then we get to these pivotal points where the energy shifts and things shift from one plane of existence into the next, and the final plane of existence where things begin to shift are the material ones. And it feels like this energy that we're in right now is finally allowing the material shifts to come, and to come quite rapidly. It feels like they're about to come in. There's a lot of momentum behind the energies that are coming in now to support us, let's put it that way. So, of course, the sun is connected to Leo, right, which was the previous golden age, was the age of Leo. And this age, we're going into the age of Aquarius, which is Leo's sister sign. So there's still a connection there. There's a passing of the baton, as I've said before, of the Leo energy to the Aquarian energy. But there's a passing of the baton, but there's also a rebuilding of the foundation of the new golden age based upon the lost wisdom from the previous one. And then there's also always Leo supports Aquarius's endeavors and ambitions, because Aquarius is that sign that allows us to go out into the world and be who we are together. And Leo is the sign that helps you to rise into who you are before you're able to do that. So to be so comfortable in connecting to the truth of who you are, to reconnecting to living out your divine destiny, and then Aquarius helps you to do that with the collective. Sagittarius gives you the fire to begin to really walk it on the earth. Leo gives you the incentive and the heart to begin. Sagittarius is when you begin to take it out. Aquarius is where you begin to share it and live it amongst the group. Okay, so interesting energy we have here. Let's see what actually came out. In the overarching theme, we do have the Two of Swords. This is Libran energy. This is the first decan, 0 to 10 degrees. So this is not for nothing. This is where the South Node is presently, astrologically speaking. Right now, I believe the North and the South Node are both at 10 degrees of Aries and Libra, respectively. So this Two of Swords is a reflection of where the South Node is, which is 10 degrees Libra presently. We'll get into that in a minute. In the challenge, we have the Hierophant. Yeah, here we go, the systems. These are the systems that supported the lie. These are the systems that kept you bound out of your infinite mind, out of your, the ability to have connection to the fullness of your mental capacity through their programming. These are the institutions that wanted to limit you in your emotional intelligence and your ability to connect and to be empathic by making you feel as if there was something wrong with you or like you were weak, because they knew who you were and they knew they had to put a damper on you from the beginning in order to try to stop the inevitable. But haha, you can't stop it anymore. It's here. The new earth is here. The new era has arrived, and these systems and beings that support these systemic programs and ways of thinking and being are now still clinging to that, going down. There's no room for that anymore. Okay, what it is you need to be seeing or putting more focus on is the Ten of Pentacles. I love it. This is the Ten of Pentacles. Is the final card in the tarot of manifestation from the beginning of an idea, the creative spark of the Ace of Wands, all the way to the process of the idea becoming, and then becoming established, and then by the time it gets to the Ten of Pentacles, it's so established that it can become legacy. So a lot of what it is that has been clearing out and is going to continue to clear out very magnanimously through this energy window is the complete tearing down, and not even tearing down, the deletion of these false legacies and false empires that were built upon the backs of other beings' pain and persecution. So I've been writing about this over on my Substack, how this new moon in Cancer is all about your ability now to birth new timelines, or bigger than just new timelines. You're birthing the new era. You're birthing a brand new legacy. And legacy isn't anything but what it is you, as a creative, creator, creatress, God being, you've come here to use the resources you've been divinely endowed with to share it with the earth, to build something and to leave the earth behind in a better state because you've been here. That's what legacy is, not leaving behind buildings and material things if those things are not connected with your divine purpose and truth, meaning that they didn't only better you, but all of humanity because of their existence. That's what true legacy is. So very few things that have been created on this earth that we call legacy are real. Yes, there are some, but very few, right? So, what do you think we got coming out here for guidance? Well, if it ain't the Judgment card, can't make this shit up. If it ain't the Judgment card, like every single major arcana card that has come here, out here, is in alignment with, first of all, we got the Age of Aquarius. Then we got the Hierophant is the systems, the banking institutions, the systems that supported our constant siphoning and constant being crushed in order for other beings to monetize our pain, is really what it came down to, and our suffering. So keeping us in states of suffering. These are the systems that were built to keep us stuck in these painful cycles. That's the Hierophant. These are the banks that were stealing from us and giving it back to us and charging us interest and premiums, I should say. That's the Hierophant. These are the religious institutions that stole all of our sacred shit and used it to do all manner of magic on the earth while lying to us and telling us that this was the way to salvation when they knew full well that wasn't what they were worshipping and believing in. The Hierophant. Love it. And then the Judgment card. Pluto. Scorpio. Where's Pluto, guys? Pluto is retrograding in Aquarius, right? 1 degree Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is that energy that brings it down, but it brings it down strategically. So in other words, the reconstructive process is fully underway. And the reconstructive process cannot happen without those obstructions to the new earth coming down. You see, before you were obstructed from moving into the new earth because of these energies, systems, beings, agendas that were still supporting the false matrix lies. They were the blocks keeping you stuck. And now they're coming down because it's time for the new earth to be established and for you to move forward in your divine purpose with ease. Okay, so the Two of Swords in the overarching theme. Everything ain't as it seems. Right now it's going to be more important than ever to tune into your intuition. The Two of Swords is connected, of course, to the High Priestess. That's the card where you don't trust fully what you're seeing with your material eyes. There's a lot of trickery right now. A lot of trickery and fuckery abounds, as always is the case when it's time to move into the new. The only way you get stuck in the old most of the time is through the trickery and the fuckery that all of a sudden begins to come out in spades to try and trick you. It's the same energy of the Pisces in the zodiac wheel, the 12th house, where all of the hidden energies, enemies try to come up to keep you stuck in the cycle. It's not obvious, it's hidden, right? So be very, very aware, because justice is happening, before you. Allow it to happen and really see it, because it's in everything right now. If you have the eyes to see, if you have the emotional intelligence that allows you to travel and to see, and the mental capacity that allows you to see all things as they are, as opposed to in accordance with like the pre-programmed thinking and therefore feeling, then you can see at every level where things are being put into order, where something else is coming down. But it's not something you see with your material eyes. You see it with your spiritual eyes. You see it when you understand and overstand how energy moves and how cycles close out. So be very aware. Don't get pulled into the stories that are occurring materially because they're the same as they were before, and think that because they're the same, you're returning to something, or something is coming back, or something is trying to push into your reality, because it's time for you to come to a decision point where you X it out and you move forward into the new story consciously and conscientiously and with assurance, okay? As you do that, as you continue to live in alignment, because that's what the Star card, outside of the Aquarian energy, the Star is the card in the major arcana which shows you when everything has come into planetary alignment for you to rise into the position of your sonship, right? So as you are allowing the fullness of your vision on all planes to guide you and to help you by utilizing the power of your heart, most importantly, to take you through the next steps and to close out the old cycles, you are automatically entering into these timelines of effortless ability to bring forth what has always actually been yours. Okay, so I actually have to run. It's 15:15 on my clock, 44 minutes into this time. It seems like it's a good time to close out, but I'm sending you all so much love and gratitude for who you are. Keep hanging in there. Just because these things are happening and the collapses are coming, it doesn't make it easy. If anything, we are entering into a really difficult period where being very rooted in ourselves and our peace is what brings forth, is what clears away the difficulty of the situations. It's not about your material circumstances changing instantly. It's about you riding the storm, but being so centered and rooted in your true story and not allowing yourself to be dragged into anyone else's narrative where you are existing as a side character or a, what's it called, a sidekick to someone else's story. No more of that. You sit as Godhead over your own reality now. And so this window of energy is going to be so important to stay in that place in order to bring forth now what has always been yours. And as you do that, naturally, these things that have tried to block you, distract you, push you into a corner, all these things are falling by the wayside. And it's happening in your personal life, and the collective energy will also be mirroring that back to you. Okay, so for all information on how to work with me, you can do so by checking out my website, solara.info. Please be aware I have summer rates right now. That means my 60 and my 90-minute soul recovery one-to-one sessions have been reduced, and the prices on the website are currently reflecting that. Also be aware that I have a beautiful special going on my Substack right now. If you'd like to join me over there as either a monthly or an annual patron and have access to my daily energy reports and guidance, as well as other things that I post there. Also, in both written and audio, I do for my daily reports. You can do so. I'll put the information for that in the description box and comment section below. The offer right now is it's 33% off the regular monthly subscription, and that price is locked in for the next year. Okay, and if you join and you choose to become an annual subscriber, whatever you pay this year will be 33% off the regular annual subscription, and you will be renewed every year at that reduced price until you decide you don't want to, you cancel it, or I'm no longer working from that platform. So those offers are available until the 22nd of September this year. Yes, I think that's it. If you would like to donate to the channel and to my growth and ability to create peaceably and to do what it is I came here to do in peace, then you can do so through either my Ko-Fi or my PayPal. And I thank you guys. Thank you so many of you for taking the time to sow into me. I really do appreciate it. Please also be aware that all of my decrees on my Ko-Fi shop are still up and they're available for free. They're just going to be like that until I feel they shouldn't be. And I shared with you the reason why in my other video about the New Earth financial system and like walking by faith, and why I think it's important that some things I do, that everyone has access to it and people can get it for free if they don't have anything at the moment, and those beings who have to give can give in accordance with what they think my work is worth to them at that point. So yeah, that's why I'm keeping it open right now. And what else? I think that's it. Yes. I wish you a beautiful 7/7 portal. I will be back again soon. If you'd like to join me for those events this weekend, check out the information below. Take care.